Hello. So I hope everyone's doing well. I am on fall break, which I never quite appreciated as much as I do now that I'm a teacher. So I've decided, or one of the things I want to try to do, I want to try to do better as a teacher than I did as a student with these long, week-long breaks, and I want to try to actually get some work done over them. But one of the things I want to try to do to have some fun is I want to try to do a movie a day. And I don't know how well that's going to work out because, I'm looking at the marquees today trying to figure out what to go to, and there's not a lot out that I'm like, ooh, let's go check that out. So there's going to be a lot of kind of the second stringers. Whoa, that got dark all of a sudden, didn't it? That's kind of appropriate when you think when you think about it here in a second. So I'm starting this fall break at the movies off with just a delightful little romp. Oh goodness, what a cheery little film. Girl on a Train. Oh man, this thing was not bad. Let me put that out there. I've got some things to say about it. Not bad at all. But there are some things about it I really didn't like. Some things about it I did like, but some things about it I really didn't. But first off, before I do that, I feel like more so than any other film that I've talked about here, I really got to put that spoiler warning thing up. I'm really going to try because this is one of those movies. It's one of those psychological thrillers. As the people whispering behind me in the seats, I tell you, it's one of the things I hate about Ridgeway when it's full is that I'm often the youngest person in the audience by about 50 years, and boy, howdy do old people like to talk when they're at the movies. So anyway, it's a psychological thriller, so the twists and turns of the plot are kind of the plot. So, in trying to describe this film for you, for those who haven't seen a trailer or read the book, which I guess the book is really popular, I've never heard of it until this exact moment. I don't want to give away kind of the big things, but I'm going to say that, it's possible I might. So if you're interested in seeing this film, I'll say up front, it's good. It's if you like, and I'm going to compare it a lot to Hitchcock, both negatively and positively as I talk. So if you like old-fashioned kind of Hitchcockian, psychological thrillers, and this one kind of follows those fairly well, and it's kind of a modern day version of it. So if you like those kind of films, go check it out. So I'm going to say that, and if you want to hear the rest of this, then go watch the movie first, and then you can come back and hear what I have to say if you care. But that's just in case I slip up and say something I don't mean to. So I've spent 3 minutes kind of qualifying this, so let's talk about this movie. So in this movie, again, this plot is very twisty, so trying to explain it is a little, or trying to, knock it down. So in this movie, Emily Blunt plays this woman, Rachel, who is an alcoholic, whose husband has left her for another woman, and now he's living kind of the suburban paradise. And all Rachel does, Emily Blunt's character, all she does is kind of ride back and forth on the trains, basically past the house she used to live in that now her ex-husband and his new wife and family live in. And 2 doors down from the house she used to live in is this other young lady played by Haley Bennett. I really was sitting there at the end of the film going, Emily Blunt and Haley Bennett, Emily Blunt and Haley Bennett, because I wanted to use their real names, because otherwise I was just going to keep calling Haley Bennett Jennifer Lawrence Light, because she looks almost exactly like her, and I don't know if they did it on purpose, but they definitely gave her a hairstyle that looked a lot like hers, like Jennifer Lawrence's in like Silver Lining Playbook and a lot of those other films that she's known for. Emily Blunt's character has this habit of, as she kind of rides the train by and looks out the window, she sees Haley Bennett's character, who's a nanny for her ex-husband, sees her and her husband out on the lawn and kissing and being all affectionate. You know, she's one of these girls that's out there stretching in her bra and panties, you know, like you do. Because I know every woman just loves to go out on their deck, the train passing by at the same time every morning and do their morning stretches in their bra and panties. I mean, right? It's like, why the hell don't I live on that street? Anyway, anywho, she makes up all these stories about these people, you know, the nanny and her husband, because she thinks that they're perfect. You know, they're obviously very in love, they're very affectionate, blah 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 blah. Well, as it turns out, Rachel has a tendency to black out. She has a tendency to drink so much she goes crazy. She keeps apparently drunk dialing her ex-husband and all this, and you know, she's broken into the house once or twice. So anyway, on one of these blackouts one night, when Emily Blunt's character gets off the train and she's loaded, you know, she starts staggering. Something happens, and the nanny girl, Haley Bennett's character, goes missing, and Emily Blunt's character Rachel is convinced, or at least thinks, that she might have done it, might have had something to do with it. So the rest of the film is just all these kind of twists and turns and ups and downs as she, you know, tries to, you know, piece things together, tries to remember. We get a lot of flashbacks into Haley Bennett's character, you know, kind of seeing her life and what it really is, as opposed to what you know, Emily Blunt's character seems to think it is, and all of this stuff. So it's this very twisty-turny, timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly type of thing that ends with this big kind of gotcha moment. So I don't want to talk too much more about the plot, because I really don't want to give anything away. So let's start. I like to start with what worked about the movie. I think the acting is pretty top-notch. And I keep mentioning, you know, just saying it over and over again, you know, Haley Bennett and Emily Blunt, because the two of them kind of do a lot of the heavy lifting for the film. It's not to say that nobody else gives a good performance. It's just to say that they're the two characters that are kind of, they really hold it up. They're the cornerstones. They want you to think that the other woman in the film, the new wife of Emily Blunt's ex-husband, that she's as important, but she's not. You really, all the focus is on Emily Blunt and Haley Bennett. And the two of them are acting their guts out. You can just, almost to a point, and this is a weird compliment to give, because it's a very backhanded compliment. Almost to a point that it's a little obnoxious, because you can almost see at the bottom of the screen, kind of like in Wayne's World, you can almost see in almost all their scenes that little Oscar clip, Oscar clip, Oscar clip, Oscar clip thing going. You can tell this film is begging for some Oscar nominations. They are just serving it up. Now, that's not a bad thing necessarily, but you really get the feeling that this type of movie released at this time of year, what it is doing is it is really trying to snatch up some of that Oscar prestige. And I think the two ladies do a very good job, so if they end up, you know, getting nominated, I wouldn't be surprised by it. They do a good job. Haley Bennett's character, you get the feeling that, you know, she might have thought she was auditioning for an HBO show for the amount of time she's naked and you know, pardon me, but getting fucked up the ass. I mean, you know, they love that shot of her taking it from behind. They just love it. You know, and what's funny is that she's naked, but they go to great pains to like hide her breasts. They have a scene where she's running out in the middle of a rainstorm, and she's naked. You see everything, but she's running like this, you know, to hide her breasts. So it's like you either want the rated R for the nudity or you don't. But don't do, I'm not even a big one for, oh, you gotta see everything, but it's just like, please, you don't, when you're upset like she's, you're not like, doing this bit. I'm sorry. And that kind of leads to what the major problem for me for this film is, and that is not the acting, not the screenplay, none of that. I think all that's done really well. Another film kind of like Equity that has a very predominantly female cast, and all of them toe the line really well. All the ladies in this movie do a really great job. There's only 2 male characters. They do a fine job, but you can tell this is a woman's story from a woman's point of view, and it's told in a great way. So the script and the acting I have no problems with. Where I have a problem is in the directing. Because, like I say, the directing is begging you to nominate it for an Oscar. I said before that this film reminded me a lot of a Hitchcock film, in that what we think, what we're told is going on, or what we think or what we're told has happened, we slowly start to find out that is not actually what has happened or what is in fact true. Everything we believe, likewise what the characters believe, we see it through these characters' point of view very clearly. But as facts are revealed to them and it's revealed to us, and we learn that what we've come to understand has not been true, and we're working under false assumptions. So it plays out like a really well-paced murder mystery. And in that case, I like it. But here's where it falters. Hitchcock was a brilliant director, but he never had to, shove it in your face. All his directing was very clever, You watch one of his films, and he has a style to him that, that is clearly his. And he did tricks with cameras. He did, this and all this. This film, though, is directed in one of those very pretentious, independent, low-budget movie ways. A lot of, pans of someone's face, just, staring, and pans of, someone's hand dangling over something, and then shots of grain flowing in the breeze, This director, Tate something, I can't remember the last name. I'm going to give them credit for building suspense and unraveling everything very well. But I'm going to take credit away for just how pretentious a lot of the directing seems. I'm not sure I'm describing it properly either, because I never went to film school. I'm a stage director, so I don't know the proper terminology. But here's what I do know. I know that the acting in this never once crossed over into the melodramatic. Every character is playing it so raw and so real. But the directing makes the film feel melodramatic. I don't know if that makes sense, and I don't know a better way to describe it. I don't even know if I can give you adequate examples as to when or how I felt that way. I think the fact that for a long time in this movie, I was sitting there thinking, do I recommend it? And first of all, that's bad for 2 reasons. Number one, you shouldn't you should pretty much know, I think, if you're going to recommend something or not. And the fact that it took so long to kind of go, yes, in the end, I'm going to recommend this, I don't think speaks well. The second problem is that you shouldn't be sitting there thinking, I wonder if I recommend this or not. I mean, you should be engrossed in the movie. And the fact that my mind was so not committed to what was going on, I think says something about, how these long pauses, these long kind of you could have tightened this film up and made it a very taut, very clean psychological thriller. But this guy or gal, I don't know if Tate, whatever, is a man or a woman, is obviously from the independent film school of directing, and it feels like fancy camera tricks, or not even tricks, but just weird things with the camera. Long fade outs, jumping backwards, forwards, left, right, center in time, like it's an episode of Lost. I don't know if that's how the book is structured or what, but I mean, it works kind of. But like I say, I think part of me wants to give the director a pass, because in the end, the twist is delivered really well. The payoff is done really well. So it obviously shows that this person has some skill. And but I asked myself, leaving the film, do I think they could have accomplished all of that, but gotten rid of a lot of the deadwood that not only pads the runtime, but also, at least for me, I don't know about anybody else in the audience. I mean, there was a lot of talking going on, so I don't know. I don't know if that means they weren't involved. I can't remember to drop my shoulder when I'm doing these. Anyway, at least for me, that took me out of the film. That made me less invested. It was almost like a Brecht thing. It was there was an alienation between the audience and the action. So again, I don't know if that was what they were going for, but I don't like that. I've never been a fan of being alienated from things. I want to be involved in them. I want to care. Anyway, I think this director has some chops and has some really, really good ideas, and did a nice job building the suspense, building, the reveal was not done in some Shyamalanian, pretentious, look how clever I am kind of way. It was done very naturally like the rest of the film, but I think they need to get out of their own way in the early goings of the film. Now, someone else may go see this film and really like the slow burn and the the time and the pacing and all of that. And I think I've enjoyed films like that too, but in this case, it didn't work for me. Now, all that being said, all that being true, I still recommend this film. This is a film that I don't think we see a lot of, and I'd like to see more of. And it's a film that really leans very heavily on its actors, and you see some really good performances. Nothing that I would call, despite the fact that I said before, especially Emily Blunt and now I forgot the other one, Haley Bennett. Even though you can tell they're going for that Oscar, I don't know. I don't feel like any of these performances was a star turn. I felt like they were serviceable. They worked well as an ensemble, so it wasn't about kind of one person getting over the others. I like that. So that's a good thing. And I think it relies on cleverness, on genuine cleverness, not perceived cleverness, to get its point across. So I would give this one a pass and say go see it. I don't think I'd ever buy it on DVD or feel the need to rewatch it. But it is kind of one of those old time classic thrillers. Again, very Hitchcockian, except a lot of nudity and a lot of Haley Bennett. The director, I don't know if it's in the book, and I'm sorry to kind of get on this blue subject. I like to try to keep these, PG as much as I can. But the director really had a thing about how this girl was being made love to. It was a very specific style, let's just say that. Never graphic. They didn't really get graphic with it, but they did. They had a lot of it. I was often wondering how the old people in the theater sitting next to me and all that were responding to that. I mean, they had a lot of it. But there was a very specific way that they kept making love to this girl. And I'm sitting there going, like, is the director trying to say something with this? Is it because they don't see her as a person, or is it because it's animalistic? But but I don't think it's because they didn't see her as a person. Because the various people who do so, one of them really does love her. So or maybe it's her trying to keep a distance from it because she has baggage. I don't know. But it's weird that I noticed that. I don't normally, but it's like, man, they're doing that a lot. That's just kind of weird. So anyway, and really, you didn't need any of that. I'll be honest. I mean, you didn't need any of that. And I also always think, maybe just because I was just watching some of Luke Cage last night, but I always think as a director, it's like, man, that would be so freaking awkward to direct a sex scene. I don't know how you'd even do that. Okay, what do you tell them? I don't know how you do that. I don't know. Forget, I always hear people say, how do you act with it? How do you direct it? I mean, I know the village is the guy like, yeah, but how do you, like, especially if you're like, squeamish, how do you get, okay, I need you to, can you, I don't know, how do you direct that? I don't know. Anyway, I'm off topic because I'm just about to park. But, a good psychological thriller, a good kind of tip of the hat to those older ones. So I would say if you're in the mood for this type of film, then I don't think it's a waste of your time. I don't think it's a waste of your money. I'm glad I saw it, but it's also one that I don't think, if I hadn't seen it, I don't think I would have been very sad about it. It's just, it's just kind of there. We'll see if, all the Oscar pandering pays off in a few months. So anyway, that's all for me on this one. We're going to see about doing one of these a day for fall break. So until my next one, drive safe. See you at the movies.